Two Williams from the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, a man and a killer bunny. But the rabbit has glowing eyes when we should see the eyes of the performer. These can't both be the same body. But they are both William, because part of William's soul resides in Spring Bonnie, even when he isn't wearing it. I'm Blackfoot Ferret, welcome to the Ferret Theory. We also see two Williams in Security Breach. Burntrap, Springtrap's newest evolution, is a robotic version of William. But Afton also has a human job upstairs as Dave, his favorite alias from Charlie's books. Human William left the triangle code message for Gregory in the secret sister location room. The code says he built the robots, something FNAF AR confirms William did. Human William encourages us to save those with soul by crushing the vile band bent on devouring them. It seems like Springtrap became Scraptrap, then Burntrap, but there's a missing link. The creature who left Fazbear's fright after the fire was Dark Springtrap, according to the character encyclopedia. Springtrap has two rings in his eyes like a solar eclipse, but Dark Springtrap has solid white orbs for eyes in the encyclopedia and his Funko Pop. Dark Springtrap looks like Shadow Bonnie. Shadow Bonnie only appeared in the FNAF World teasers when Springtrap got adventurized, as if he was hiding inside. Dark Springtrap, controlled by Shadow Bonnie, was the one who became Scraptrap and repeatedly claimed to be William. But lisping Scraptrap sounded very different from Englishman William in Sister Location.
How can I resist a promise such as this? She can dance, she can sing. She's equipped with a built-in helium tank for inflating balloons right at her fingertips. You may not recognize me at first, but I assure you, that's still me.
Even stranger, Elizabeth didn't acknowledge Scraptrap's claim to be her father despite being locked in the same small building for days. She believed Henry was William instead. Somehow, William escaped Springtrap after FNAF 3, leaving Spring Bonnie to Shadow Bonnie. This Williamless Springtrap became Dark Springtrap. Shadow Bonnie was the one who became Glitchtrap, Burntrap, and most likely the entity from Ruin, while Human William was elsewhere. Michael met William after FNAF 3 and got the sister location mission from him. William snuck into Circus Baby's entertainment rental first and built the Biddy Bab shelter Michael found and used on his run. The Funtimes thought Michael was a return of William since he looked like a clone of him. William wasn't controlling the Sea Bear complex, he tried to free the Funtimes and shut it down. Springtrap has always been two-faced. His outer mask grins while William's inner face screams. William writhed like a man caught in a straitjacket, but Springtrap walked just fine. William is old, but Springtrap peeks around doors like a mischievous little kid who'd rather freak us out by running behind her monitor than in the game. A shadowy little kid is controlling Spring Bonnie and holding William prisoner. This resonates with the story The Man in Room 1280, where Andrew, a shadowy ghost kid, haunts William's flesh that's been extracted from Springtrap. Andrew is the second signal in William's brain scan and creates all the supernatural terror the nurses blame on William. Andrew is the one who wants to go to the Fazbear distribution center, where he detonates William like a bomb and goes in to infect an army of toys with his negative energy. Andrew thinks he's free of Afton, but gets a nasty shock when Jake combines all of Andrew's cursed toys into a giant robotic version of William. It's as if Andrew was a negative version of William all along. You can call Mr. Hyde Dr. Jekyll and still be correct since Hyde is a part of Jekyll. So you can call Andrew, Shadow Bonnie, and Scraptrap William Afton and be correct even if they're only twisted fragments of him. William put a part of himself into Spring Bonnie, which developed its own identity. When Charlie placed the Spring Bonnie head on William in the Silver Eyes, he manifested a completely different personality, as if the character controlled the actor. The same happens to Sam in Blackbird, when he feels the costume consuming him and turning him into the vengeful Blackbird in truth. Spring Bonnie split another soul in Into the Pit. When Oswald asks his father what Jeff's pizza used to be, Dad becomes nervous, as if he has some link to Freddy's in the past he doesn't want to talk about. When Oswald jumps into the ball pit and warps to 1985, the Yellow Rabbit watches him for a while, magically giving him game tokens. But when it kills 6 kids in the Save Them style attack, Oswald runs for his life. Back in the present, the bunny knocks out Oswald's father and hides him in the pit, then incredibly takes his place. The bunny drives to Oswald's house and takes the house key from around his neck. The bunny creates an illusion so everyone except Oswald and his cat see him as Dad. The bunny drives Oswald to school the next day and prepares his favorite food for supper. The bunny knows things only Oswald's father could know. When Oswald hauls his father out of the pit, he is unconscious, But the moment the bunny strangles in the ball pit net, he wakes up as if the two were linked. All that's left of the bunny is an empty suit, no longer animated by what possessed it before. The bunny contained a twisted reflection of Oswald's father. Dad doesn't like to talk about Freddy's because the suit he used to wear back in 1985 killed 6 kids on its own. I believe an empty, possessed version of Spring Bonnie also performed the Save Them massacre in the games. It would be dumb for William to overtly kill kids when he's the guard on duty. Police would surely question him. But the shadows were 2 kids William quietly stuffed into the golden suits on June 26th. They've wanted revenge on William ever since, even if they had to kill innocent kids to frame him for other murders. Fun with Plushtrap is William's nightmare about stopping the anti-animated spare Spring Bonnie suit with a flashlight, in a corridor with 2 doorways on either side, like the front of the FNAF 2 office. Ironically, this same undecorated spare yellow suit was the very one he got springtrapped inside, as his former victim repaid him in kind. This is why Andrew, and his game equivalent Sammy, hates William so much, and how their souls got tangled together in the first place. Springlock suits physically connect themselves to their pilot so the living metal of the robot becomes part of their body. This allows some of the pilot's soul/remnant to flow into the new extension and stay behind in the robot after the pilot leaves. The idea is to create a Horcrux-like backup copy of the pilot's soul that can live on if their human body dies, granting them robotic immortality. But this process can go wrong and create a warped inversion of the pilot instead of a copy. That's what happened when Dr. Talbert tried to copy his sick daughter Ronelle by placing some of her remnant in his silver locket. He accidentally created Eleanor. The puppet carver gives us a first-hand account of a soul being split. Jack is the surly, purple-faced owner of a small, struggling pizzeria. It seems his angry mismanagement has doomed the place, until he gets trapped in the puppet carving machine and somehow survives. Suddenly, Jack is a magically super positive person who strives to right all his wrongs. But he's hunted by a pink blob of sentient phasgoo that takes the form of a pink, dark-eyed humanoid and reveals it's made of Jack's extracted negativity. Positive purple human Jack returns to his bear-themed pizzeria and brings it to life. But negative pink Phasgoo Jack is later found working for Fazbear Entertainment as the active ingredient in the mad science kits that devour classrooms of kids in He Told Me Everything. This story also complements my timeline. William the Purple Guy built the original small, square Freddy Fazbear's Pizza place 20 years before FNAF 1, around 1972. This struggling Freddy stayed open years after Take Cake to the Children, but the bad reputation generated by the event prevented any other companies from helping Afton Robotics. By 1982, this one company era was over. Henry's company bought out Williams' operation, and both CEOs performed on stage at Fredbear's. They spent a year making the cartoon Fredbear and Friends, which aired in 1983, right when Fazbear Entertainment launched their own Freddy's with their newly acquired brand. Phone Guy's FNAF 2 building first opened in summer 1983. Fredbear's was open then, as the sister location where the multiple Springlock failure incident happened in a call Phone Guy recorded in 1983. He also congratulated Jeremy on his summer job and warned him the quirky, modern design of this new building didn't have doors. The old restaurant Phone Guy talks about on night 1 was the original 1972 Freddy's, the earlier location where the robots are from. Phone Guy vowed that he and Fazbear Entertainment would do a better job than William did. But the 2-child incident on June 26th, followed by the 5-child missing children incident, forced the new Freddy's to close after a few short weeks. FNAF 2 opened again in November 1987 as the grand reopening of a vintage pizzeria, no longer quirky or modern. The Pirates Cove scene in Foxy Go-Go was now Mangle's Kids Cove with a secret room direct to the east from it, while FNAF 1's Pirates Cove was on the west wall of the dining hall. By 1987, Fredbear's was also an old, closed place. Jeremy once again took the night shift after William. His situation was so similar to the earlier summer job that Phone Guy lazily replayed the same Night 1 tape from 1983. So Purple-Faced Jack represented William in the Puppet Carver, while Pink Phasgoo Jack is a dead ringer for the pink guy who attacked Charlie. Square versus round, fat versus thin, dark eyes versus glowing eyes, and straight versus bent, Scott carefully designed the Save Them attacker's sprite to be the perfect opposite of William's in Save Them. The financial loss after Take Cake forced William to sell out to Henry's company. The only person who benefited from the tragedy was Henry. Human William owned the original Freddy's and programmed the puppet to keep Charlie from leaving the party, expecting her to join it. William and the puppet pass each other peacefully and save them as if they trust each other. In sharp contrast, Henry had to send a killer bear robot after the puppet to drag her to Pizzeria Simulator. Henry was an expert in lying and manipulation. His honey promises were enough to lure most of the family to his FNAF 6 death trap, but the puppet was too smart to fool. I find it very interesting the puppet trusted William, but not her own father. William's situation as a small business owner bought out by giant Fazbear Entertainment mirrors Edwin Murray's experience in the Mimic Saga. A brilliant inventor falls on hard times, has to sell out to FE, then discovers the unscrupulous company is using his technology for purposes he never intended, and tries to stop the process from within. William kept sneaking into Henry's company using fake names to try and repair the family's robotic guardians that still had shards of their souls inside, which Fazbear Entertainment reprogrammed into soul-harvesting monsters. Edwin discovered that Fazbear Entertainment planned to replace the entire creative staff with his dangerous Mimic 1 program. He infiltrated the Bobab tree at the heart of the Pizzaplex to try and shut it down. Edwin even drew the same triangle script inside the tree that William drew in Security Breach's sister location room. It might seem odd that I'm painting Human William as a hero, when in the novels, he's basically Skeletor. But Charlie's novels are a mirror universe to the games. In the novels, Henry is the brilliant inventor, while William is the jealous businessman. But in the games, Henry is the CEO of Fazbear Entertainment, who sent board members to extract the secrets of Baby's advanced design from William after buying him out. Human William and Michael risked their lives sneaking into the sister location complex. They wouldn't need to if William owned Seabear. Hand Unit, who guides Michael through sister location, turns out to be a minion of Fazbear Entertainment in the following games. The story Dittophobia says Roy was lured back to his sister location FNAF 4 prison by a deceptive, charismatic voice on a pre-recorded cassette tape. That's Henry/Cassette Man's calling card. Game Henry owns the sister location complex that sent the fun times to the surface to hunt children for decades. It's time we give both William and Henry the credit they're due. What else do we know about the pink guy? He's the perfect opposite of William and purple-faced Jack. But there's more. Pink Guy was an outsider to Freddy's in 1972, but an insider in 1983 when the MCI happened at Phone Guy's New Freddy's. Foxy saw Pink Guy watching when he entered the secret room and found the 5 dead MCI kids. FNAF 1 says the suspect dressed as a cartoon mascot lured the kids and was the suspect convicted of the crime. But the kids were there to see Foxy, so Foxy was the luring robot that day. William was the one convicted of the MCI. That's why he had to hack the convict facial recognition when he came back 4 years later. So William was the one wearing Foxy that day, who took the fall for the MCI while the pink guy watched. The pink guy can't be Human William. When the pink guy attacked Charlie, he drained something from her for several seconds before driving off. This is significant because later in the timeline we find 2 Charlies, Puppet Charlie and the anti-puppet Nightmarian, who Security Breach calls Nightmare. Someone repeated Dr. Talbert's experiment with Ronell, and now we have another Eleanor in our hands. Eleanor is linked to Ella, Charlie's first closet android form, in the Fazbear Fright books. Ella also looks similar to JJ from the games, Balloon Boy's female twin. Baby and JJ appear 3 years old, the same age Ella was when Henry built her. Charlie was also that age when she was attacked. So whoever extracted some of Charlie's remnant and built JJ/Ella with it did this right after Take Cake to the Children. The pink guy has a very rare set of skills and preferences. Few people know how to extract remnant. Fewer still know how to build a robot, then animate it with a remnant they've collected. And of these, only one would use that remnant to make a replica of Henry's daughter instead of an animal or some other monster. That's why I think Henry was the pink guy who attacked Charlie that day, which would explain why she doesn't trust him. Only Henry gained anything from Take Cake to the Children, and he had 2 motives for the attack. Sabotaging the original Freddy's allowed Henry's company to buy it out and gain the license to Freddy's and all William's amazing technology in the future. But there was a personal reason too. Ironically, Henry wanted to save his daughter. Often kids get their guardian robots, their key to robotic immortality, at birthday parties. Michael just got Freddy the same day, and Charlie was supposed to get Chica at the same time. When Michael and the others locked her out, it wasn't just a prank. It denied Charlie her immortality. Henry wanted to save his little girl from death that day, so he took matters into his own hands. So Henry was the take-cake killer who stole some of Charlie's remnant to build JJ, and Henry was also a negative version of William. If you blame Dr. Jekyll for a crime Mr. Hyde commits, you're not technically wrong. So calling the pink guy purple guy is still correct, if not in the way most people expect. We started out with 2, but now we have a lot of Williams. Andrew, Sammy, Shadow Bonnie, Scrap Trap, Glitch Trap, Burn Trap, Novel William, and Game Henry are all negative Williams, while Game William, Oswald's dad, Edward Murray, and Purple-Faced Jack are all positive Williams. It gets worse. Michael Afton is so similar to William he might as well be a clone. The puppet had the supernatural ability to float before it absorbed any of Charlie. Someone else's remnant was already inside it. FNAF 6 shows us an Old English grandfather, William, holding a puppet of himself. Before Take Cake to the Children, the puppet was also a version of William. Glomrock Freddy remembers being taken to the original Freddy Fazbear's pizza place under the Pizzaplex, where the original Freddy was born in 1972. Glomrock Freddy says, "I am not me," because he's animated by a soul shard of William just like the puppet was. The best artists put themselves into their work, and William literally did this through mad science. This is why Burn Trap, a negative William, could psychically attack Freddy when he saw him on TV. They're both pieces of William and can wrestle each other for control. In My Afton family tree, Michael is William's younger son and bite victim, while Foxy-loving Phone Guy is his older brother. Phone Guy was Henry Prime back in 1972, but upgraded to his fourth closet form of Cassette Man when Fredbear's opened, adopting Fredbear as his new avatar. William is the grandfather, so everyone in the family has a remnant linked to him, including Henry's twins. Sammy, Andrew, and both versions of Charlie had links to William long before their misadventures. Sammy and William also share a special link through Midnight Motorist, which tells both of their stories at once. On the surface, MM continues Take Cake to the Children, where Pink Guy drives off in his magenta glowing car as the same rain pours in a game file titled Later That Night. Henry just stabbed Charlie and drained some of her remnant, so he wants to get home quickly to build JJ/Ella. But Henry has 2 twins. Sammy didn't join Charlie at the party because he doesn't like the robots like she does, and he's afraid of having his soul cut into pieces and devoured by a robot. Henry resolves to do what he believes is best for both his children, so Mad Scientist Dad wanted to make sure both children grew up together as robots. Sammy dreads the arrival of his father because it marks the end of his human life and the start of his role as the one you should not have killed. But Midnight Motorist isn't a one-to-one match with Take Cake to the Children. The pink guy doesn't get out of the car, the yellow-orange man does. All the cars drive on the left side of the road like they do in England. William is from England, but immigrated to the US before he built Freddy's. The yellow-orange man already has a house and family in England. He has no reason to move to the States. But the kid wanted to get as far away from that house as possible. William was the kid in Midnight Motorist, who fled an abusive household in England, taking one of his robotic friends with him. Foxy is famous for making a sea voyage, so it was probably him long before Foxy split into Henry's Foxy and William's Mangle. Kid William arrived in the US in the early 1900s, as the old-time posters suggest, and did many things before resurfacing as the grandfather of the Afton family at the original Freddy's in 1972. So Midnight Motorist is about both Sammy and William, 2 unfortunate kids trapped in abusive families, 2 innocent kids warped into monsters by pain, 2 warped kids who pass their pain on to others, the way Edwin turned the Mimic into a monster through abuse, 2 warring kids who ended up being the victim and killer of each other, 2 versions of William fighting themselves. Battling your negative self happens a lot in FNAF. Charlie had to battle her 4th closet form baby in the novels. The puppet chased Eleanor out of William's amalgamation in the Stitch Wraith stories. I believe FNAF 1 is a battle between William, the original Freddy, and Shadow Freddy/Nightmare, the twisted, Eleanor-like version of his granddaughter Charlie. Henry helped create the future Nightmare when he split his daughter's soul to make JJ. William stuffed teen JJ Charlie into Fredbear on June 26th, turning her into Shadow Freddy, while stuffing her brother Sammy into Barefront Spring Bonnie beside her. William seems to fight the demons he's created everywhere he goes. FNAF is obsessed with merging and splitting characters apart. Mangle, William's redesigned version of Foxy, has 2 heads. Sun and Moon are fragments of the daycare attendant Eclipse, who split into opposite halves before Cassie put them back together. Enard became a fusion of 5 robots, who split into Scrap Baby and Molten Freddy, then fused together again with more robots to form the Security Breach Blob. Candy Cadet tells several stories about 5 things being one thing. The novels fuse the MCI robots together into an amalgam, which William cuts a piece out of to animate Funtime Freddy. Carlton sees multiple splintered copies of several kids chasing pictures when he joins the amalgam, and sees another kid fragment appear when William cuts another piece out of the metal. Carlton and Michael put the fractured souls of all the MCI kids back together so they're strong enough to resist William's control. Maybe we're looking at Enard the wrong way. At first, he seems like a predator who hunts down and devours other robots. But his teaser says there's a bit of me in every body. Enard's mask hangs in the control module long before he fully forms on Night 5, as if Enard is something that once existed before. Is Enard eating innocent robots? Or were those robots once pieces of Enard who broke apart long ago, and by assimilating them, Enard is just putting himself back together? The same goes for the MCI kids. They were never normal, random children. Freddy's doesn't allow customers in the secret room, yet these 5 visited it 3 times under William's watch while a security camera noted their entry. Since they weren't banned, and Foxy's performer wasn't fired, these kids must have been family members instead of customers. The MCI robots kept generating blood and mucus long after bodily function should have stopped, but they kept breathing and eating pizza for years afterward, so their stuffed flesh still worked. They were androids with synthetic flesh like Charlie from the novels, and the second set of teeth we see in the MCI robots is their own endoskeleton still trapped in the suits. All 5 were members of the Afton family, including younger closet versions of Michael the Clone, Henry the Inversion, and Sammy the Anti-William. If William, or a dark version of him, killed them, was it senseless murder or reclaiming pieces of himself just like Enard? Novel William even told Charlie, "You have something that belongs to me," and "I need something from you" in the Twisted Ones. He never specified what that was, but since the twisted robots he sent after Charlie stole the souls of anyone they came across, we can assume Charlie's soul was a missing piece of William. William put some of himself into all his creations, including his own family. All the robots are connected together in a network. That's how Springtrap controls them in the novels, and Shadow Freddy controls them in the games. Help Wanted's teaser image shows all the FNAF characters connected with a single ghostly web, with William, the original Freddy, at the center with his brightly glowing white eyes. The FNAF characters are William, and he is them. So when the Stitch Wraith combined Eleanor, Fetch, and all Andrew's possessed toys, compressing all the sound and fury of FNAF into a single point, he ended up with William. Why does the purple guy keep coming back? Because FNAF is his story. It's not the cookie-cutter tale of a psycho who kills kids for kicks. It's an amazingly detailed portrait of a man in conflict with himself. William suffers from dissociative identity disorder, having multiple personalities. That's why Mott feels he's being taken over from within by sea bonnies, or why Kane finds his Monty within trying to make him act like a terrible troll, or why Sergio feels it's his lucky day when he finds Balloon Boy, until BB takes over his life and wrecks it. William is always in a tug-of-war with Sammy's Bonnie, Andrew's Monty, and Charlie's Nightmare, trying to do the right thing while they do their worst. His soul is fractured like Princess Cassidy, who keeps finding pieces of herself in boxes like the briefcase in Pulp Fiction, uses an opposite shadowy aspect of herself to solve puzzles, and reclaims stolen pieces of herself from the shadows when she slays one with a sword. It's as if Scott designed Five Nights at Freddy's from the ground up to show those of us with one personality what it's like to live with several, and spread awareness about this condition that affects 1 in 70 people worldwide that is frequently vilified in crime and horror movies. Why do I keep defending William, the character the fandom loves to hate? Why do I keep obsessing about the pink guy when more popular theorists have discarded the idea? Because I believe William Afton is Scott Cawthon's self-insert character in the games. And to help William and Scott put themselves back together, we need to solve FNAF. Something to think about. The first FNAF movie comes out this week. Will it continue the story of the games, the Mirror Universe novels, or build an entirely new world of its own? We'll find out soon. Please consider all the possibilities before you judge William or FNAF, because it's very easy for people to dismiss what they don't understand. Good night, everyone.